Let's picture this for a second. It's been 3 months of you working on yourself, healing your attachment wounds, not chasing after your avoidant partner. 3 months of progress, feeling more confident, not attaching your worth to the relationship. And on this day, you receive a notification on your phone. Your ex is reaching out. This sounds like a made-up story, but I have this kind of story almost every week from clients who are working on themselves, detaching themselves from the relationship. And when you stop chasing, most of the time, avoidance reach out. And this is what we're going to discuss today in this video. The 5 reasons your avoidant ex might reach out if you stop chasing. Let me share with you the pattern in a nutshell, and then I'll discuss the 5 reasons. First element is when you go into contact, you create this vacuum and this silence in a way which was the avoidant tool to feel in control. They don't have it anymore. You're owning this process and they don't feel they can use it anymore. And what happens for a relationship that mattered is that their nervous system will flip from, it's too close, I'm overwhelmed, I don't want intimacy, to actually, now that she's gone, now that he's gone, I want them back in my life. I'm missing out on something. Maybe they are too far. And that's why you have those mixed signals sometimes. And I'm going to explain you in a second what you should be doing. But the point is to explain that, again, if you had the right relationship, and again, being an avoidant person doesn't mean you can't be in a relationship. I used to be dismissive avoidant, right? The point is, for you and for them, figure out a way to evolve away from the danger zone. So this is a graph based on the studies from Kulser and Amin Levin about what they call the danger zone. So when you are high in avoidance attachment style, or high in anxiety, this is where the relationship can't function properly. So the point is for you to manage your anxiety level, feeling less attached to this idea of validation, being reassured constantly by your partner. And on your partner's side, if they're avoidant, is finding peace at being close to someone. The idea of, and it's something that I worked on when I worked on myself, is being okay with closeness, being okay with intimacy, understanding that being in a relationship is not about forgetting yourself, right? It's about connecting. And that doesn't mean that you have to forget who you are. It doesn't mean that you have to compromise on everything. It just means that you can be yourself and you can learn this language of intimacy. If you're watching this and wondering if you have any chance of getting back with your ex, or even if it's the right thing to do, I've created a free assessment that gives you clarity. It's based on attachment science, and it will show you whether your ex is still emotionally engaged, if reconnection is possible, and how ready you are mentally and emotionally. What you have to do is just answer a few questions and you'll get a personalized breakdown within 2 minutes. You can find the link of this assessment below in the description. The reason number 1 is what I call the control check. Is when you stop chasing, and in a way, as I discussed before, when you stop chasing, an avoidant partner, he or she, won't have this tool that developed as a coping mechanism, which is the silent treatment, which is withdrawing. If you're the one withdrawing, they don't have anything left. And that's why they could have this driver of reaching out, because they want to know if they are still in charge. The challenge is not to go back too soon, right? As I discussed in the graph, first of all is manage your anxiety level. And also, and I'll discuss that towards the end, it's about consistency. It's about having the right environment, the right process for you to nurture the relationship. And that's why, first of all, you need to create that secure base first, and then we can start discussing about whether there are meaningful interactions, whether they are trying to just keep you on the hook, whether it's breadcrumbing, etc., etc. And don't get me wrong, getting back with an avoidant partner starts with communication, starts with them breaking no contact, or sometimes if you feel the strength to do it, you break no contact. The reason number 2 is the dopamine withdrawal, which actually is very strong for people who have an anxious attachment style, but it's also the same for avoidant, is when you don't have this validation anymore. What happens is you have a dopamine drop. Now, the thing is, if you decide to go no contact, you're in control. And potentially, you don't suffer this dopamine drop as much as they do. And what happens is when you don't have this shot of dopamine, where are you going to get that dopamine? From the person who gave it to you in the first place. And so that's why they would want to have this spike. They would want to feel this dopamine. They want to check in like, hey, how are you? Hey, stranger, to fuel this dopamine spike. So again, very much physiological, not necessarily psychological. And the point is to, and again, I will explain at the end of the video, is to decode what it really means. Because them reaching out to you doesn't mean you should take them back. Doesn't mean you're going to get back together, right? It's important to, I'm just going to give you some indications of why people might reach out when you stop chasing. That doesn't mean that you should take them back. Again, refer to the quiz if you take the quiz and find the right path for you. The third reason is around ego, obviously, which plays a huge role in relationships. Avoidance, sometimes, not always, but sometimes we do outsource self-worth on external confirmation. So I used to be a bit like that. Being people pleaser, love bombing at the beginning of a relationship, just to get a sense of self-worth, because I was the perfect boyfriend. The problem is obviously when you love bomb and you do it just for the sake of being the ideal boyfriend, it's very hard to sustain. And I had a lot of failures, a lot of problems in relationships before because of that. And so what happens is when you give them the silent treatment, that challenges their thoughts around independence, around desirability. And that's why they might reach out, just to assess whether they still matter, right? Assess whether they're still important in their life. And again, this is sometimes very typical of anxious partner as well. They want to be important in their ex's life. The point here is to, again, this is a reason, might not be the right reason, but this is the reason avoidance might reach out after you stop chasing. Number 4 is the scarcity alarm, which is a very famous cognitive bias. Is when there's a flip between the fear of engulfment. Fear of engulfment is when you are scared of losing yourself in the relationship, and that switch to a fear of being alone, a fear that you're gone forever, a fear of loss, which is actually one of the strongest drivers in what will actually forces people to act. People usually act, it's not people usually, it's like studies have shown that you take action twice as much when you're about to lose something than earning something. So this idea of losing you, especially if you were important in their life, will trigger this element of, okay, I need to reach out. I can't help it. I'm curious. I want to know where you're up to. It's very famous around marketing and luxury products. As soon as something is rare, the value increases. So by disappearing, by stop chasing, by stop playing that game of push-pull, you're showing them that you're a high-value person. And in a way, that's how you get back together. That's how you win the breakup. And again, I don't know whether you're going to get back together. I don't know whether you should get back together. But that's a good starting point to shift from a place of, I need this person back, I'm nothing without this person, shifting to I'm a high value person. I'm confident. I know what I want. I know what I don't want. And I'm willing to draw the line. And I'm not willing to accept any type of relationship. This is the type of mindset I want you to adopt. This is the type of mindset I want my clients to adopt, but even if we don't work together, I'm really here to help you out. I care about you. I care about the progress that you're making, the changes that you're making in your life, and you can do it. It's never a question of whether. It's a question of methods, it's a question of support. And the motivation comes. Don't worry about that. The reason number 5 is attachment rebound. So it's when you have this relief phase at the beginning of the no contact, the first few weeks where they feel like, I'm finally independent. I don't have to discuss. I don't have to return any call. I don't have to reply. But this is where, after a couple of weeks, they start remembering things. And guess how we process memories in our brain? We erase the negative ones, or at least they reduce in intensity, and we replace them with positive ones. Right? What's left of relationship is usually the positive moments, especially in romantic relationships. Also, what you have to understand is that what was difficult for your avoidant partner was the intimacy, was the closeness. Guess what happens when you remove that? What's left of the relationship is only the positive side of the relationship. So the point is, they usually return because now they idealize the relationship. They used to criticize the relationship. They used to find little flaws in your characters, in your habits, that made them pull back. Now that you're gone, they don't see those flaws anymore. They see the relationship you had. And potentially now they are more aligned with how you saw the relationship. Maybe now they start realizing the potential. Does it mean you're going to get back together? Does it mean you should get back together? No. Because what matters is the consistency. Yes, longing for a partner, idealizing the relationship is the first few steps. The point is to assess consistency. The point is to assess actions over words, reality over promises. And that's why when I work with my clients, I don't celebrate wins easily. I celebrate small wins on my clients' side, which is around anxiety, which is around cognitive reframing. But when it comes to their ex or their partner, I'm very, very critical. I really want to ensure that yes, there's progress, but I expect my clients' exes to do 10 times the work my clients are doing. I'm really tough on them. And that's why it's something that you need to assess over time. One big gesture, one nice word, one nice date is not enough. You need to have consistency. You need to have proof that they're also doing the work. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Okay? It's easier for me to say because I don't have feelings for this person. And maybe you may be thinking, oh, of course he's avoidant, he doesn't care. I do care about you. Because you're watching my videos and you're supporting the work that I'm doing, and I'm every day grateful about that. But at the end of the day, you're the one watching this video. Okay? And I'm pretty sure they're not necessarily interested in personal development. Maybe they are, and that's good. And maybe they are the start of their journey. I really hope they can catch up with you because you're far ahead now. So that's the point. It's being really critical, assessing that consistency, assessing those actions. So as we discussed, them reaching out is because of a need to feel their ego, to check around control, maybe it's an attachment rebound. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's transformation. That's very important. Because of course, you're very optimistic. You want things to work out. I'm being pessimistic, not because I don't want you to be happy, but I don't want you to be disappointed. Create that secure base first because it's the thing you can control. Right? So emotional regulation, cognitive reframing, do some ETF therapy. Important to work on that. And you don't need your partner, you don't need your ex to do that. Maybe you do it on your own, maybe you do it with a therapist, but that's the third thing you need to do. Then it's about mirror the investment. Don't overdo it. Don't burn any bridges. Don't try to see, okay, they reached out, we're back in touch. Okay, we're going to have that discussion that I want to have. I want to get that closure conversation, etc., etc. No. Protect your peace. So remember that them reaching out is a sign of interest, and that's very important. That's the first step. That's only the first step. What matters now is to assess the viability. Assess whether this relationship this time can work out, because it needs to be different. You've done your part. You have to expect your partner, your ex, to do their part and then build something new. It's possible. I'm helping people every single day to do that. But it depends on your work and on their work. Take care of yourself. I'll see you next time.